Alright guys, this is going to be Objective 9. We are going to label points on the x-axis and y-axis of the unit circle, and then we're going to prove that a point is on the unit circle today. Okay? We're going to start out slowly with our unit circle, explaining how the points are derived and then we're going to break it into sections, and we're not going to do it all in one day. Today we're just going to look at the points that are on the x and y axis of the unit circle. When we come back on Monday, we will then break it into 45-degree angles, and then after that we'll do our 30, 60, 90 triangles and angles on the unit circle. All right. So when we talk about the unit circle, definition, let me go back. Definition of the unit circle is x squared, if I can get something to write, you can just draw a circle. You don't have to draw the dimensions. There we go. All right. So definition of the unit circle is x squared plus y squared equals 1. Okay? When you were in geometry, you learned a formula of a circle, and it says something like x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals the radius squared. Do y'all remember that? Something like that. And do you remember what h and k were? They were the center of the circle. So if the center of our circle, of the unit circle, is the origin, 0, 0, you follow me on that? It would be x minus 0 squared, which is the same thing as what? X squared, plus y minus 0 squared. And then our radius in the unit circle is going to be, it's 1, okay? So anywhere you go, that's worth 1. If you went here, then this would be worth 1. The radius is always going to be worth 1, okay, on the unit circle. Any questions on that? No? Okay. All right, so this is what we're going to start with today. And we're not going to fill out the whole thing today. By this time next week, you will have every bit of this memorized. Memorized. Okay? And you will not be given, and this is the basis of our entire trig class. Okay? This right here, the unit circle. All right, so we're going to label just the axis, the x-axis and the y-axis today, okay? So I'm going to start with degrees. So when we talk about the unit circle, we come over here, and this is where we're going to start. With 0 degrees, okay? If I go up top, and we're going to rotate in a counterclockwise direction. That's how you read the unit circle. So you start here, and then you go around the unit circle this way, okay? Always, when you read it. So if I go up to the y-axis, what degree would that be? That would be a 90-degree angle. If I go over to the x-axis on the left side, that would be how many degrees? 180. Very good. All right, 180 degrees. And then if we rotate down here to the bottom of the y-axis, it would be 270. Okay? And then if we complete a full circle, it would be 360 degrees all the way around. Okay? Any questions about that? So the second part we're going to do is we're going to put it in terms of radians. Okay? So this would be 0 here. We'll discuss that. Okay? Just know this for now. So when we go all the way across, that is worth pi. Okay? So then if we keep going, if semicircle is worth pi, then a full circle would be 2 pi. Okay? What if I just go up to the 90 degrees? That would be pi over 2, or half pi. Okay, but we're going to say pi over 2. Okay? So if this is 1 pi over 2, and that would be 2 pi's over 2, right? 2 90s. Okay, 2 pi's over 2 would be just pi. This would be how many? This would be 3 pi's over 2. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, and then we're going to label the actual points here. Okay, so if I'm traveling, think coordinate plane. This is 0, 0. And I'm traveling out here, and I want to put an x comma y. You with me? An x comma y. So this would be the same as the radius, correct? And I told you if it's on the unit circle, the radius is worth 1. So it would be 1 comma, how many up and down am I going? 0. 1, 0. If I go up to my 90 degree and I want to do a x comma y, what would it be? 0, up 1. I'm going left or right, none, and I'm going up 1. Okay? All right. Over here at 180, it would be -1 comma 0. Very good, because you're going to the left. And then if I go down, it would be 0, -1. Any questions on that so far? Okay, and so that's all I want you to know for today. Okay, I want to take this, I don't want to overwhelm you too much on any one day. I want you to understand that this is just like plotting on a coordinate plane. Okay, and you understand the degrees of a circle, that a full circle is 360 degrees. Yes? I understand that. Okay? And we'll get into what a radian is versus the degrees, but I want you to understand that 360 degrees is the same thing as 2 pi radians. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to prove points are on the unit circle. Okay? So I want to show that the point 3/5, 4/5 is on the unit circle. So let's just draw a circle. And I know this is 0, 0, and this is 1. Actually, I'm going to go back, maybe. All right, so this is 1. So tell me how much 3/5 is, actually, like as a decimal. 0.6. So really, it's saying I'm going over 0.6. You with me? 0.5 would be halfway to 1. 0.6 is a little bit over halfway to 1. So that's my x. And then what's 4/5? 0.8. And so I'm going up 0.8. Correct? So I'm going over here 3/5. And I'm going up 4/5 because it's x comma y. And I want to prove that this ending point is on the unit circle. Okay? So I'm going to draw it a little bit bigger, but what have I created here? So if I go over 3/5 and I go up 4/5, what have I created? A right triangle. Okay? And this right here looks like what? What should it be? If I'm starting at the center and ending on the unit circle. It should be 1 because it's a what? It's a radius. Do you understand that? So the hypotenuse should be 1 if it's on the unit circle. So do you know what we can use to prove that it could be equal to 1? I heard it. The Pythagorean theorem. What's the Pythagorean theorem? A squared plus b squared is equal to c squared, which is very similar to what I just gave you on the unit circle. X squared plus y squared is equal to 1 squared, which is 1. Correct? Okay, so you can put it in. You can either think of it as the Pythagorean theorem, or you can think of it as x squared plus y squared equals 1, which is the definition of the unit circle. So we're just going to plug in. My x is 3/5 squared. My y is 4/5 squared. And we're going to prove that it's equal to 1. Okay? So what is 3/5 squared? Square the 3, square the 5. 9 over 25. What's 4/5 squared? 16 over 25. And when I add it together, I get 25 over 25. Is that equal to 1? Yes. So we have successfully proved that when you plug 3/5 and 4/5 into x squared plus y squared equals 1, or the Pythagorean theorem, that it does work, and it does equal 1. What if it didn't equal 1? Then it's not on the circle. Okay? But as long as it equals 1, it's on the circle. Any questions about that? Okay. All right, what we're going to do now is I'm going to tell you that point P is on the unit circle. Okay? And I know the y coordinate is negative 1/3. What does that mean when it's negative 1/3? Am I going up or down to get to it? Down. Okay? So, and it tells me I'm in quadrant 4. So let's review, make sure we're good with our quadrants. This one is quadrant 1. This is, very good. I went backwards. This is 3. This is 2. And you need to keep track of the signs. Like when I'm plotting x and y, in quadrant 1, they'll both be, the x is positive and the y is positive, right? Okay, in quadrant 2, the x is negative, and then I'm going up, the y is positive. And in quadrant 3, they're both negative. And then in quadrant 4, positive and then negative. Any questions about that? Okay, so I know if I use x squared plus y squared is equal to 1. Because I know it needs to be on the unit circle, because it tells me that P is on the unit circle. So I know it's going to be equal to 1, correct? And I know my y-coordinate is negative 1/3. So my question is, can I solve for x and figure out what x is? Because that's what it's asking. It's saying find the whole point. Find the x and the y. You got the y, we need to find the x. So x squared. When I square a negative times a negative is a positive. So this would be 1/9. And then I'm going to move the 1/9 over and subtract 1/9. So x squared is equal to 8/9. And then I'm going to take the square root. Okay, so those cancel. What's the square root of 8/9? I hear 2 squared of 2 over 3. Did you catch that? Technically, this is the square root of 8 over the square root of 9. We know the square root of 9 is 3. And we know we cannot. What if you end up with a square root in the denominator? You're going to have to rationalize it. That's why we went over all that last week. Okay? So if you get that, you're going to have to rationalize it. Okay? And then, 8 can break down into 4 and 2, 2 and 2. So that would be 2 square roots of 3. Now the question is, what's the square root of 8 over 9? Plus or minus. The question is, how do you know if it's positive or negative? And this question is going to come up all semester because you're in quadrant 4. So what will my x be? It'll be positive. So the entire point is positive 2 squared of 3 over 3 and, square root of 2. Thank you. Thank you. I'm not on my A game because I don't feel very well. Is that a good excuse? 2 square roots of 2 over 3. Thank you. Positive and negative 1/3. It's the whole point. Okay, but you're going to have to go back. Like, that's going to come back to bite a lot of us on, like, test days. Because you're going to have to make the decision, is it positive or is it negative? Meaning you're going to have to go back and look at your unit circle and look and see what quadrant you're in to make that decision, whether it's positive or negative. How would you check it? I guess you could plug it back in and see if it all equals 1. And, like, do check step. Okay? All right.